Hey, it's Amy Nicholas, back again, 2 days in a row. I'm so happy to be back. I'm going live on Facebook and Instagram. So if you prefer one or the other, my Instagram is at AmyNicholas724. I'm just Amy Nicholas on Facebook. So today, chatting about why goal setting doesn't work. Okay. First things first, attractmydreams.com. If you didn't know, I put out a course. It's launching officially next week. So I've got it on sale right now. It's all about using what I'm going to be talking about in this video, which is the power of your imagination to bring things to you and get what you want in life. But goal setting. So why doesn't goal setting work? What I've found, many years, a lot of research, a lot of reading books, a lot of going to seminars, a lot of listening to audios, a lot of hearing a lot of different people talk on this topic. From the big ones that you know of, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, Les Brown, Bob Proctor, I went to see Grant Cardone. I studied so many people, and I didn't understand this till much later, that when you're setting goals, it's all well and good to have a goal. But why it actually doesn't work is because when you set goals and you're thinking about, okay, I want this thing. Number one is most people are in the wrong time period about the goal. First thing they think of is like, I want this, as in I don't have this right now and I want it. So there's a feeling created which becomes lack. And lack is going to mess you up because lack is thinking about what you don't want. And you'll find yourself thinking about your goal and you're like, no, I'm thinking about my goal. And hey, Andy, I'm thinking about what I want. But what I found to be truth for me was I'm thinking all day long about how I don't have the thing that I think I wanted. And that was creating this energy around me that was just frustration, lack, worry, fear, doubt, disappointment, struggle, strife. And the results were showing. And I had ups and downs becoming an entrepreneur with this, because I thought in the beginning, I was on this track and I'm like, okay. And then in 10 months of this personal development track, I'm quitting my job. I'm doing some things I never thought I would do. I'm earning money I never thought I would earn. And then when things changed for me, I didn't have the foundation, really. I didn't know what actually worked. And I thought goal setting was like, hey, you got to set the goal and you go for it and you put a time frame on it, because every single, I can only think of one. Now, this is the guy I follow now. Every other single personal development, success teacher, guru, whatever you want to call them, has said you put a date on your goal. Let me tell you, that's the worst thing you can do, okay? Because what happens, and I respect these teachers. I really do. I learned a lot from them. But what happens is you set a date and guess what? You don't hit it. And you're like, okay, all right, maybe I just guessed the date wrong. I'm planning for the future here. I don't know when this thing is going to happen that I want to happen. So I'm going to push the date back. Okay, sure. Next month, don't hit it. Okay, maybe I'm a little further off than I thought. Let me push it out 3 months, 6 months, a year. I wrote goals down and I looked back and I had these little note cards and I'm like changing the years, like what the heck? Something's not working here, and it was because I'm putting this pressure, this stress, this sense of like, I gotta do it, and if I don't, I'm terrible and I suck. And so not only am I feeling bad about not getting the thing, I'm starting to erode my confidence. I'm starting to erode how I perceived myself as an achiever, and been like, wait a minute, I got these other things in my life. I achieved these other things. What the heck is wrong with me now? Why can't I do this other thing? Why can't I hit this income goal? Why can't I grow this other business? Whatever it might be. I didn't understand what was going on. I'm like, no, I'm thinking about the thing. They tell you, think about your goal. visualize it and seeing it happen and all this stuff. But I'm thinking about what I don't want because there was such bad energy in there. And I just didn't know like how to do anything with that. So fast forward a couple of years down the line, I heard a guy named Kevin Trudeau, and his most powerful thing I ever heard was called Your Wish is Your Command. It's a full-length audio program, like 13 CDs long if you had the physical. It was on YouTube. And so I just kept listening to it over and over and over. And I was listening to other people at the time. And here's a good point. Don't do that. Don't divide your learning and your study. If you find somebody you resonate with, only listen to them. Because if you listen to anybody else, you're going to get conflicting theories. You're going to get different people's opinions. You're going to think like, I'm off the track. I'm not making progress, right? It's going to slow you down. So eventually I realized this, fast forward several more years, and I'm only listening to him. And I'm starting to understand when I look back with the goals, why the time stuff didn't work, why setting a date was a mistake. And he explained it as this, like, you don't know. You don't know when everything in the universe is perfectly aligned for your goal to happen. You're just not going to know when that exactly is. So to try to guess and put dates on it is only going to stress you out. It's only going to make you feel pressure, number one. Number two, self-esteem will be eroded, like me, if you're not hitting that goal by that date, okay? So I took advice and I was like, all right, no more dates. I'm done with that. And so when I would come up with something that I wanted, I'm like, ooh, new goal, like a motorcycle. Like, well, I want a new motorcycle. I just pictured it. I just said, I knew what I wanted. I got specific. I got clear. I knew the year, the make, the model, the color, the accessories I was going to put on it. I did all this stuff, like my mental work, and I pictured it, and then I went and started looking for it, not knowing even how I was going to ever buy the dang thing. But that's just how I started. And relieving that pressure of the date was so liberating because I didn't have to worry when it was going to come in. And, listening to Kevin and just like starting to absorb this stuff, like on a DNA level, okay? I was starting to realize what I needed to do. And so I realized that I needed to convince myself, literally, that it was already done. That I already had this motorcycle. That I already owned it. That all the details were taken care of, it was shipped, it was, parked in my carport, it was already mine, whatever. And once I started to feel that way, I started to take different actions. And so I'm going on Facebook Marketplace. I'm looking for this bike. I pretty much was like, yeah, I wanted it used because I kind of wanted one that somebody had modded out already, like did all the accessory works for the most part. And I wanted this green freaking bike. I was like, nope, I'm not settling for these other colors. Looking in Florida, as I was in Florida at the time, I'm not seeing this bike anywhere in this color. It's a rare bike, and it's, if people buy it, they tend to keep it a long time. So there's not a lot for sale. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, let's expand the search. Let's look further out, a couple of states over if I have to. So believe it or not, at some point, I was like, I'm opening the doors to the full US. I will find this freaking bike. Missouri, believe it or not, where I live now. It was in Missouri. But the time where I was like thinking about it, finding it, and then like I would walk out of my carport in the mornings, and instead of seeing the junky bike that I currently had, which I was ready to just burn up, I would see this other bike there. And this is how you can kind of convince yourself that something has happened. If you can literally learn to just put a filter over what you're seeing sometimes and trick your mind. You only have to do this for like 30 seconds, a minute if you can. And just see what you want to see. Boom. It's there. It's done. And you'll feel differently. You'll instantly start to feel like this relief, this pressure has been taken off. And from that, you go about your day. Okay? There's no, like, I gotta sit and meditate for 6 hours. I gotta read, 500 pages a day in success books. I gotta listen to 5 hours of audios and all this stuff. You can do these things in moderation, but there's not, like, this regiment thing that you have to do. What I found was if I could just get to that feeling of, it's done, I have it, over, if I got to that feeling, everything else really was just, whatever I did, actual actions, it was just to reinforce that belief, to reinforce that idea. So when people say, like, there's only one way to do something, it's just about the feeling. It's just about how you're feeling in the moment of, hey, this is done. And to keep that feeling for as long as possible. So I got to the point, a couple days of doing this little exercise, walking out from the house into the carport, and I would look over and I would just, pretty much you're playing pretend here. I just pretend the bike was there. Oh, cool, there's my bike. All right, whatever, I'm going for a walk. And initially, I remember thinking, I have to have this image of what makes me the happiest about this bike. Why do I want it? What's really deep down going on in here? And I thought it would be riding it. So I initially had these images of riding it and having fun and all that. But what really gave me the sense of peace was that it was just parked there. It was just there, and that I had a bike that ran good, didn't break down on me. I wasn't in the shop all the time like my previous one. And it just made me feel good. So if I got to that feeling, I'm like, okay, cool. Then I can just picture the bike just being parked there. Cool. I feel good. I don't have to worry about riding and where I'm going to ride and all this stuff. And so I just focused on that. And a couple days of doing this repeatedly, a few seconds a day, I swear, I walked out one morning and I did a couple of blinks, and I'm like, whoa, like without trying, I saw it. Without forcing my mind, tricking my mind, it was there. It was parked there, like in reality for a moment. It wasn't really there, but it was in my mind. Like I had convinced my mind that fast. And so I'm like, oh, that's funny, back to reality. And within, I think it was about 4 days from that, the bike was there, for real, in reality. I freaking found it, talked to this guy on Facebook. I said, hey, let me give you a deposit because I'm coming all the way from Florida to Missouri to pick this thing up. And he had a whole bunch of people messaging him. And he's like, okay, you were like the first to reach out. I'm going to hold the bike for you. I'm getting a trailer. I'm taking my van freaking, whatever it was, 1,200 miles or something crazy. And I was like, I'm going, it's a done deal. I'm heading out there. And and within a few days it was there, it was parked. And so what I learned from this is that, okay, yeah, I had a goal. I didn't have a timeline. I didn't worry about when it was going to happen. I knew that I wanted this thing and I was really excited about it, but I wasn't like, stressed about it or anything. And I just enjoyed the process. I just enjoyed thinking about it. And I just enjoyed that sense of peace that came from picturing it parked in my garage, my carport. And so when I think back, this was probably, this was one of the first times I really pieced this together, like what's happening here. When I think back on it, I could see the little keys going on. And that's something that I'm focused on now teaching people is using imagination over the idea of goal setting. Because goal setting, it's good to know what you want, but probably you've been taught the wrong way to do goal setting. Most of the time they tell you, these success teachers, whatever, God love them. They have the best heart, but some of the stuff is just very confusing and very misleading. But they say, write your goals down. Okay. All right. I'm cool with that. But then they say write 100 goals down. And I'm like, no, because it requires such focus, such intensity. It's like when you have a magnifying glass, and you're pointing at the something on the sidewalk, you know, and the whole idea of catching this thing on fire using the sun, you have to hold it over that one thing for like a minute or two. And you can't be like, oh, well, let me look over here because, you know, I want this thing to light. And then I'm going to look over here and look at this. And this is why people don't get anything in their life. It's like too many focuses, too much scattered energy, too much like not enough focus on one thing is what's happening. And with having a goal, I like to say a dream, because that actually makes me feel a different way. Goals to me are like, okay, my goal today is to do this live stream. Cool. Is this my dream? No, my dream is much, much bigger, okay? That's kind of the feeling and the difference between setting goals and having a dream. So when you think about having a dream versus having a goal, it should internally rise up something in you. Like, I've always wanted to X, you know, or I would love to have Y. Whatever it is, that's kind of the indication of like where to go. I've done videos in the past. I'll do another one at some point about how to pick the right dream to go after, because we want multiple things. Like, I'm no exception. There's multiple things I want, and I realized that to get any of those things, or to have any of these things happen in my life, that I can only focus on one at a time. However, if you are focused in on this one dream and you are really like a beacon, just dialed in, what will happen? This is kind of cool. What will tend to happen is all these other little goals, dreams, intentions, wishes, little things that you want throughout your day, whatever it might be, they will just start to happen without the intense focus. What I think is happening, I'm just speaking from my own perceptions here, what I think is happening is that your resistance to the ideas of the other things that you want has been lowered because you're focused on this other thing, this one dream. Your other dreams, goals, wishes, desires, they don't have resistance because you're not like, oh, how am I going to get these things, right? Because you're focused on the one dream. Now, when you are focused on the one dream, you have to feel good, okay? If you think about it and it starts to make you feel like, oh, this is never gonna happen. I don't even know what I'm doing here. You know, why do I have this stupid dream? I mean, everybody laughs at me. Everybody I've told, which you shouldn't tell people, you know, family, friends, coworkers, God forbid. You start to tell people and they just, it could be little snide remarks, little, you know, oh, really? And that's enough to set you on the wrong track. So don't share it. But how you feel around the dream is everything. It's okay, and it's 100% right to not believe in the dream in the beginning. I mean, you'll have these ideas that come to you and you're like, oh, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's what I want to go for. And you're like, I can't even like perceive of this happening. Totally fine. Do you want it? That's the only question. And the only one that needs answering at that time is, do you want this? And if the answer is like a resounding, heck yeah, then you don't worry about the how. You don't worry about when, how, who, what. You just know that you are dialed in to something that you want. And it's going to become like this magnetic attraction. And this is where the power of the imagination comes in. Because I used to study all these techniques and, you know, and reading books and writing my goals down and doing visual, you know, what do they call them? Vision boards and all this stuff, thinking I got to do the stuff in order to get the stuff. But I didn't understand then that it was the feeling states. It's really what I needed to go for. And with using your imagination, which we all have, you can get there that much faster, right? I don't want this video to be too long, but something that I do teach, like I said, is how people can use that to fuse their dream, attract their dream like a magnet. And my email course has just been launched. It's officially releasing on Monday. Attract My Dream Epic e-course. You can check it out at attractmydreams.com. And if you have any questions, ideas about what I've shared today, and you're just like, I don't know where to even go from here, Amy, just put a comment. You can DM me as well. I'm always looking for ideas of what to talk about on these lives. So again, currently streaming on Instagram and Facebook. If you prefer one or the other, Amy Nicholas on Facebook, at Amy Nicholas 724 on Instagram, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take